Charlie? Charlie? Oh. Hey guys, my name is Nikki. This is basically just a story about how I had my baby. This is just kind of like an insight for anyone who might have been like myself, a young person having a baby. I was only 21 when I had my son Charlie. I was 20 when I got pregnant, and I was 21 having him. So I found out I was pregnant back in January of 2017 last year. I woke up on Sunday morning and I got sick. So I had morning sickness. I just raced over to the shop straight away and I picked up a pregnancy test. I took the pregnancy test and of course it said I was pregnant. Woohoo! It did. It said on it I was 3 weeks plus gone already. So I knew that I had been pregnant for over a month. It was just past my 21st birthday. I was quite young. So after I took the test, I basically showed it to my boyfriend. He double checked it for me. We were like, okay, we're pregnant. So first thing we did was we went straight over to the doctors and we got my bloods done. Then they rang me back like 3 days later to say, congratulations, you're having a baby. I was like, oh my god. Basically, my pregnancy was fairly straightforward. I mean, I didn't have too many problems. I got a lot of morning sickness, which is fairly normal, and then the only other thing that really bothered me throughout my pregnancy was heartburn. I had so much heartburn, like, all the time, but it was really manageable. It was fine, like, so I had a really good pregnancy, thank God. Oh, my number one craving was ice cream, and now I was pregnant like over the summer and everything, so I was like eating ice cream every single day. Like, I had so much ice cream. That was my number one craving. Throughout my whole pregnancy as well, they were keeping an eye on baby's weight all the time because he was quite a big baby. My boyfriend is 6'4.5", so he's almost 6'5", and I'm only 5'3", so they were kind of like, ooh. Basically, they were monitoring his weight like all the time, and due date was actually the 4th of September or the 5th, and we went in at the start of August. It was one of our later scans, and basically they were saying, okay, we think that this baby is already hitting the 8-pound mark, which is fairly average size for a baby, which it's pretty big. So this was before I was only about 37 weeks gone at this stage. So they said, we want you to come back next week and we're gonna induce you, basically. So I remember it was a Monday, the 21st of August. I went in, and at about 9 o'clock at night time, I think it was, they put this gel inside you which releases the hormone that your body would naturally release to when you're actually having your baby. So basically this was just to get things started, and so my mom and my boyfriend stayed in with me until about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they were sent home because you can't stay in the maternity overnight. I remember getting a lot of back pain, but my labour didn't really get started for a little while anyway. So I went to sleep for a while. I think I was kind of waking up like every couple of hours, you know, I didn't really like sleep properly or whatever. So then it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. This is when the scary part kind of happened. So basically, if you don't know, my mom, her first baby was actually a stillborn baby. So of course I was constantly keeping an eye on Charlie's heartbeat and things like that just to be sure. So yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning, the nurse would come in and she'd check you and see if you're going into labour. I was lying down on my back and she was looking for the heartbeat, and the nurse could not find it. The midwife, she searched and she just could not find the heartbeat. So I started getting really scared. She called in one of the older midwives, the senior midwives, to come and double check it for me just in case, and she couldn't find the heartbeat either. So they were searching for like a good few minutes and no sign of baby's heartbeat. But then she called in like 2 other nurses and they were like, come on, we gotta bring her in now, like we have to bring her over to the labour ward immediately. So they pulled up the rails on the side of the bed and they were all standing around me and they just wheeled me down to that labour ward. It was so fast and it was really scary. I just remember like lying back in the bed and like passing all these other pregnant girls, and they were like, you know, looking at me, like they were all staring at me, and like I didn't know what to do because I was thinking the worst. Like you can only imagine what I was thinking about. So then they brought me down to the maternity. They put these things kind of all over your belly to try and monitor the heartbeat, and in this case we were trying to find the heartbeat. They were searching, and then they brought in one of the main doctors. So the main doctor he took over and he was looking for the heartbeat. So they kept twisting me and they put me on different, so I was lying up on my side, on my left side, then I was lying on my right side, I was standing up, I was leaning up kind of on the bed like this, and eventually they found the heartbeat. Oh my god, the relief. The relief in the whole room. They were like, they said what had happened was, see, Charlie was faced the right way around throughout my whole pregnancy. Like, he was always in the right position, as they say. Like, when they must have put in the gel to bring on the labor, he just turned. He turned onto his back, so his back was where my back was, and it should have been the other way around, I think it was. So then, because they found the heartbeat, they were monitoring it and it was fine, thank God, but I couldn't lie. I could only lie like on my left side. I couldn't lie on my right side, because if I did, then they couldn't find the heartbeat. So then after a couple of hours, they called my boyfriend in. He came in, he raced in, and he was with me, and then my mom came in and she was with me, so it wasn't too bad. But then the pain just started to get really bad. Like, it got so bad, it was crippling. Like, it was literally like, I thought my back was actually going to snap. Like, it was so painful. Like, you cannot imagine how painful it was. Like, they said that it was just slightly more painful as well because of the way he was positioned. So my whole pregnancy, I was saying, I didn't want to, I wanted to do it all completely naturally. Like, I didn't want to use any kind of drugs. I didn't want to do anything like that. When I actually was doing it, then I just had to get the epidural. I mean, it was so painful. But the only thing was, I couldn't sit straight. Like, I couldn't lie straight or anything. I was like bending over. I was just in so much pain. So they said, if we do the epidural, you have to stay still. So the doctor came in and he got it all ready to go. They used only the lowest amount of epidural that you can get, so that it would try and, because I didn't want to obviously get it at all. But the second then that, they took the needle out and they were like, okay, stay still. I froze and I was like, oh my god. They had to time it in between the contractions as well, because they can't give it while you're having a contraction. So we had to wait for the contractions to stop. So I was like, go. So he gave me the epidural. And oh my god, it was the first time I could relax. Are you coming up here? Oh, okay. It was the first time that I could relax then in hours, like, and this was probably about 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning at this stage. So yeah, so after they gave me the epidural, everything kind of calmed down. I didn't have any more pain. The pain in my back was slowly went away. So yeah, the pain went away really slowly, and then I think it was probably about like 9 or 10 o'clock then in that morning is when things kind of really started to kick off. So I had to stay lying only on my left side. And actually, because of this, the epidural only worked on my left side. So basically, I could feel all the pain in the right side of my body and no pain in the left side of my body. It was just, even thinking back now makes me like, ugh. It was so bad. But basically that means I could feel all the contractions on the right side of my body, and I just couldn't feel anything on the left side of my body. This was intense. Like, oh man, it was scary to me at the time. It was really bad. But they kept kind of checking in on me and Charlie, and they were trying to see like if he was coming, what the story was. But they were like saying, like, you're not going to have him for a long time. Like, we only just got to show him the road. Like, he's not going to be coming for a really long time. So I was starting to feel a lot of pain, and I was thinking I could feel him like moving down, and I could feel him like, I was like, he's coming soon, like you gotta check because he's coming soon. So they checked if I was dilated, and I was completely dilated, and they were like, all right, you're having this baby now, we gotta do this now, like, let's go. Then they were like, okay, you can, this was about 12 now, after 12, and they were like, okay, you gotta start pushing, like, and I had watched so much of One Born every minute, so I was like, chin down, legs up, let's go. So I started pushing, I was pushing, and it was about 20 minutes I was pushing all together, and basically they thought he kind of got stuck, so they also didn't tell me as well, but it turns out his umbilical cord was actually tied around to his neck, and they didn't want to tell me because they didn't want to frighten me, and so they needed to get him out like really quickly. They kind of thought he was like stuck or whatever because he had a big head, and they were like, okay, you need to stop pushing. And they started asking my boyfriend like these questions like, oh, has she ever had like a blood transfusion before? Like, has she had this, that and the other? And I was like, oh my god, like what's going on? And apparently it turns out that they were like about to give me an emergency C-section. They told me kind of to stop pushing, but I was like secretly pushing. Like, even though they told me not to push, I could feel him coming, and I was like, I can do this. I was like, because I could feel everything on my right side and nothing on my left. I could feel him coming out. Like I was pushing with my right side. I was giving it everything. They got this thing which is called like, it's like a vacuum, which kind of they attach to the baby's head so they could help to kind of pull him out of you. And they used the vacuum, and as I kind of started pushing some more, he came right out. Like he like slipped out, like as bad as it sounds. He just came right out. Thank God. So then baby was born. I also forgot to say that I got some of the gas in air as well, so that did help me a lot. Like it really helped a lot. So baby was born, and he came out. He weighed 7 pounds and 7 ounces. He was perfect. He was perfect. It was such an amazing moment. They took him out and they put him on my chest, and so I got my few minutes with him, and then they took him away, got him cleaned, but then they kind of noticed that he was like really mucousy. So they were like, okay, we gotta check that out. And they wheeled him off down to the neonatal, and he was gone for 4 hours. They took my baby away from me for 4 hours. It was the longest 4 hours of my entire life. He was breathing just a little bit funny, just because he just got a lot of mucus as he was coming out or whatever. Because I got the epidural, like I couldn't move my legs. Like I was dead to the bed. Like I couldn't move my back. I couldn't move my legs or anything. So I couldn't walk. After a little while, they wheeled me back into my own bed, we'll say, back where I was staying in the maternity, and my boyfriend then brought in a wheelchair, and he was allowed to wheel me down to see baby Charlie for the first proper time, other than when I got to hold him just for those few minutes. This is when I got to feed him for the first time, and he was under these lights. He was kind of in like an incubator thing, and he also got like a really bad case of jaundice, which caused us to be in the maternity for over 7 days. They had to do bloods on him like every single day. It was really horrible. They'd have to wheel him away in the middle of the night. Like they'd come in at like 2 o'clock in the morning to check his bloods. They'd send him like straight across over to the regional so that they could get him tested straight away, and then they wouldn't actually release me until it showed signs that it was improving big time. Another hard part was just that my boyfriend couldn't stay in the maternity with me at all. So like every night you were just like by yourself. I remember like the first night I was alone with him, he got the hiccups, and they have this little button where you can call in like the nurse if you're like really unsure about anything. And I was like, nurse, like he's got the hiccups, what do I do? And she was like, he's fine, just keep feeding him, he's fine. And I was like, oh, every little thing you'd just be like, oh my god. It was scary at the time, but looking back now, it was pretty good, and I'm so glad that I didn't have to get the C-section. Yeah, I really wanted to do a natural birth the whole time. So I breastfed him then the first night after I had him, and he was a happy baby. I mean, we didn't have any problems other than the jaundice. The labor part where they couldn't find the heartbeat was the scariest moment of my life. I thought I might have lost my baby there, and then, oh man, I'll never forget that. It was really scary, and just because like it was 5 o'clock in the morning and I was like by myself alone in this dark room, like, and you're just thinking all the worst things, like, and then when they zoomed you off down to the labour ward, and they all just looked like they were panicking, so I was panicking. Like, it was just, that was definitely the absolute scary part. But other than that, like, I was so lucky. Like, everything went really well. That's kind of the whole story. But yeah, my whole family were waiting outside of my labour room, like, after he was born, and but the only time they got to see him as well was when he was wheeled off down to the neonatal place. So they didn't even get to see him at all, really. Like, and then the next time we got him was later in the day, and the visiting hours were over, so they didn't really get to see him properly until the next day. So that kind of was annoying. So that was our labour story. So Charlie just turned 1 the other day, so it was exactly a year ago. So that's what brought everything, all the memories back, and I said I'd make a video just to kind of go back over the story. So if anyone has any questions for me as well, just ask away. I'll be happy to answer. Thanks a million for watching. I hope you enjoyed my story. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye.